Stella Blómkvist is a bold, independent lawyer who isn't afraid to take on the most dangerous cases. This time, she gets caught up in a high-profile investigation involving the government. The Prime Minister's assistant, Hala, is found dead in his office. The main suspect is Sami, an old acquaintance of Stella's, who is arrested at the scene. The police are convinced they've solved the case. Security footage shows Hala entering the office at night, the cameras go off, and when they come back on, Sami is there. Forensics later confirm that the DNA found at the scene does not belong to him. Stella receives a mysterious phone call from an unknown woman. The caller hints that the police are not conducting an honest investigation and invites Stella to a secret nighttime meeting at a parking lot in Hamraborg. When Stella arrives, however, she isn't greeted by the caller but by a courier who hands her a sealed envelope. Inside, there's an encrypted message revealing that Hala used to organize private parties for the Prime Minister and secretly recorded them with hidden cameras. She kept the footage in a blue bag, and this information may have cost her life. Following a lead, Stella discovers a connection to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and heads there. Using a clever trick, she gains access to Minister Dagbjört's office. Their first meeting is filled with tension. Dagbjört pretends to be surprised by Stella's visit, but in their conversation, she subtly suggests that the official version of the case can't be trusted. She advises Stella to find the blue bag and warns her to stay out of it. Of course, this only fuels Stella's curiosity. Meanwhile, Edda Kristjansdottir, an influential lawyer and the Prime Minister's sister, gets involved in the case. She tries to take over Sami's defense and persuades Stella to step aside, but Stella refuses. Stella's investigation leads her to an exclusive club owned by Valdi, a close associate of the Prime Minister who is involved in questionable dealings. She suspects that he might be connected to the incident, and his recent conversation with Edda raises even more red flags. The deeper Stella digs, the more enemies she makes. That night, she is kidnapped by men disguised as police officers who demand to know where the blue bag is. But Stella doesn't give in. She fights back and escapes. Now, she must find the evidence before the real criminals do. After the attack, Stella wakes up, not understanding what happened. She accuses the police of kidnapping and assault, but of course, they deny everything. She is warned that she has angered the wrong people and should step back before things get worse, but Stella never backs down. Meanwhile, she meets Dagbjört again. The tension between them continues to grow, as does their mutual intrigue. Stella demands the truth from Dagbjört, threatening to leak the compromising material to the press. Eventually, Dagbjört reveals new details. That night, Hala was preparing a private party at the Ministry for the Prime Minister and Chinese officials. All the cameras were turned off, and only the attendees know what really happened. Stella realizes that the key to everything is the blue bag, which still hasn't been found. Dagbjört hints that not only the Prime Minister and his circle are searching for it, but also the Chinese. After their conversation, there is a sense that Dagbjört is walking a fine line. She doesn't want to be completely honest, but she also can't keep hiding the truth from Stella. Their connection becomes increasingly complicated. Stella's attempts to meet with Sami are unsuccessful. He suddenly fires her and hires her biggest competitor, Edda Kristjansdottir. Soon, Stella tracks down Valdi, a close associate of the Prime Minister who also seems to be looking for the blue bag. He tries to intimidate Stella, but she is smarter. She pretends that she has already found the bag and is willing to sell it. Her investigation leads her to Hala's hometown, where she learns that Hala kept her most valuable belongings in a safe deposit box. Together with Gunna, her friend and hacker, Stella finds an old collection of Hala's dolls. One of the dolls turns out to be a hidden data storage device. It contains videos with strange code names. Soon, it becomes clear. These are recordings of the Prime Minister and his inner circle, secretly filmed by Hala. After decrypting the files, Stella tracks down Haukur, a government official who turns out to be the one who attacked Hala. He confesses that she had been blackmailing him with evidence of corruption and shady foreign deals. In a panic, he tried to force her to delete the footage, but things spiraled out of control. When Haukur realizes that Stella has exposed him, he tries to get rid of her. A brutal fight breaks out, but Gunna saves her at the last moment. In the end, Haukor is sent to prison. The Prime Minister escapes the scandal unscathed. Semi returns to his usual business, and Stella receives an unexpected call. From Dagbjört. She thanks Stella and asks about the blue bag. There is an unspoken tension in their conversation, as if their dynamic is more than just political maneuvering. Dagbjört offers friendship, but Stella isn't naive. She knows their relationship is a battlefield where both are fighting for control. Stella threatens Herman, who has been stalking her friend Gunna, and forces him to leave her alone. But her personal day off is quickly interrupted when Dagbjört asks for her help. Dagbjört wants Stella to assist the family of her acquaintance, a high-ranking diplomat named Emir. His daughter, Foran, is in serious trouble. She is suspected in the death of Regina, a powerful businesswoman connected to the government and major deals. Stella visits the family's home, where she meets Emir's wife, Lavissa, and Foran herself. It turns out Regina was like a second mother to Foran and was helping her with her college election campaign. On the night of Regina's death, Foran had left briefly to meet her boyfriend, Breki. She claims she was with him at a motel the whole time, but he has suddenly disappeared. The police find this suspicious, and his absence weakens Foran's alibi. During questioning, Stella discovers that Foran had another lover, her professor, Ranner Simpson. She had broken up with him, but he kept pursuing her. When Stella confronts him, he acts arrogantly, but confirms that Foran was with him on the night of the murder. However, he later turns on her, telling the police that she had once said Regina deserved to die. Stella realizes that there are too many inconsistencies in this case. She discusses the situation with Dagbjört, and their conversation quickly takes on a more personal tone. Dagbjört is clearly interested not only in the investigation, but also in Stella herself. She once again brings up the blue bag, but Stella gives only a vague response, saying she is still considering her offer. Meanwhile, it turns out that Regina had received threats due to her business dealings with China. Her name had been mentioned in activist groups, and she even had to delete her social media account. Stella inspects the crime scene and finds contradictions in the police's version of events. Regina did not simply die in the sauna. Someone locked her inside, and her body shows signs of struggle. The killer may have been injured, and traces of blood found at the scene could belong to the perpetrator. The police link Breki's disappearance to the murder, believing he was involved. Stella questions Foran again and learns that she wasn't alone with Breki. Her friend Ellie was also there. The girl is clearly hiding something. Foran, in a panic, claims that someone is trying to kill her. She is convinced that Regina was murdered by mistake and that she was the real target. As Stella tries to piece everything together, a shocking new development emerges. A video message has been sent from Breki's phone. Foran continues to insist that someone is trying to kill her, but she can't remember any names. During the conversation, it turns out that Regina was not just helping the girls, she was solving their legal troubles by paying compensation to the victims. Stella searches Regina's archives and finds records under the codename Lambs. These documents detail the crimes committed by Foran and her friends, thefts, assaults, and even kidnappings. The case of Sigrun takes center stage. She had accused Foran's group of a violent attack, but no one took her words seriously. Later, Sigrun was sent to a psychiatric clinic and then died under mysterious circumstances. Stella finds out that Dagbjört is at a restaurant and decides to go there. She enters, scans the room, picks a free table nearby, and sits down. Calmly, without drawing attention, she types a message. A few seconds later, Dagbjört takes out her phone, reads the text, and looks around. Dagbjört holds Stella's gaze for a moment, then, as if ignoring the significance of their exchange, gets up and walks toward the restroom. Stella waits a few seconds before following her. Inside the restroom, the tension between them becomes almost palpable. Stella gets straight to the point. She needs access to restricted medical records. Dagbjört replies that it's illegal and against her interests. She steps back, but Stella doesn't let her move away, closing the distance between them. Their eyes lock, the air charged with challenge and anticipation. Stella presses her against the wall, preventing her from escaping. For a few seconds, only millimeters separate them before Stella crosses that line and kisses her. The kiss is slow yet confident. It lasts only a moment before she abruptly pulls away, regains her composure, and leaves the restroom, leaving Stella alone. Stella returns to the investigation. It turns out that Regina had been using teenagers for her own benefit. After their attacks, she negotiated with the victims, buying their properties at a reduced price. Each case seemed like an accident, but in reality, it was all part of a calculated plan. Gradually, Stella's suspicions shift toward Larissa, Foreign's mother. She had long resented Regina's manipulation, and their complicated relationship had turned into deep-seated hatred. On the night of Regina's death, Larissa went to the summer house and witnessed how her sister controlled her daughter's life. A confrontation erupted between them, and in a fit of rage, Larissa locked Regina in the sauna, leaving her to die. She then calmly returned home, knowing that Foreign would be the one to find the body. Despite all the evidence, Larissa escapes punishment and walks away unscathed. Her connections and status allow her to avoid prison, and the official version of her involvement remains uncertain. At a party celebrating the closing of the case, Dagbjört notices Stella in the crowd. She approaches her, holding her gaze, and hands her a business card with an address written on it. Stella glances at her briefly before taking the card. Stella and Dagbjört make love, completely lost in the moment, forgetting about political intrigues and the outside world. Their bodies move in sync, and their gazes say more than any words could. Dagbjört sits on the edge of the bed, catching her breath. She slips into her dress, and Stella, unhurried, moves closer to help zip it up. Dagbjört leans in, pressing a lingering kiss to Stella's lips, then playfully bites her hand before standing up and heading for the door. Outside, a camera flash flickers. Someone is watching. The Chinese make contact with Stella, and she goes to Guo's office. Representatives of the embassy are already waiting for her there. Guo offers her a deal, a large sum of money in exchange for the blue flash drive. But Stella refuses, knowing that handing over such information could be a fatal mistake for her. After that, she goes to Dagbjört. The tension in her office rises. Once the door closes, Stella pushes Dagbjört against the wall and kisses her. But Dagbjört pulls away, reminding her that she's at work. Stella tells her that Guo somehow already knows what's on the blue flash drive. Dagbjört insists that she hand over the files because Guo is dangerous. He has diplomatic immunity, meaning he can do whatever he wants. But Stella doesn't give an immediate answer, only saying she needs to think, then leaves. Returning to her office, Stella finds Gunna tied up and beaten. Guo's men are already there. Without saying a word, they make it clear that her time is running out. Right in front of Stella, they brutally beat Gunna again, showing just how serious their threats are. After they leave, Stella takes Gunna to the hospital and then goes to meet Dagbjört. They talk outside, the night hiding their emotions, but the tension between them is evident. Dagbjört tries to convince Stella to hand over the files, only then can she protect her. But Stella says the files are encrypted, and the only person who can decode them is Gunna, who is now in critical condition. Stella realizes that the only way to buy time is to find out what Guo is planning. She follows him and learns that a private event for high-ranking officials is happening soon. She decides to sneak inside. At the event, she unexpectedly runs into Dagbjört. Concern and disapproval flash in her eyes. She doesn't want Stella to take this risk, but Stella stands her ground. Guo notices her and heads toward the restroom. Stella follows him. Guo remains cold and composed, as if he has full control over the situation. He gives Stella one last chance to hand over the flash drive while she still has the option to negotiate. Stella refuses and leaves. Minutes later, chaos erupts in the main hall. Guo suddenly struggles to breathe, clutching his throat. Guests panic. Security rushes to assist, but within moments he collapses and dies. The Chinese authorities immediately accuse Stella, claiming she was the last person to speak with him. Now she is being pursued by the police, and the situation escalates into an international scandal. Stella realizes that someone took Guo out, but she has no idea who. The main suspects are the Chinese ambassador's wife and his assistant, Shifan. She launches her own investigation, determined to uncover the truth. Despite the danger, Stella finds a way to free Gunna and access the blue flash drive. She knows that the only way to survive is to play her own game against both sides, ensuring that neither gains full control over the compromising material. Stella continues to investigate Guo's death and discovers that he was gathering dirt on the ministry committee. As she continues her investigation, Stella uncovers Lara Gunnarsdottir, the head of the negotiation committee. She learns that Lara had been hiding compromising information that Guo had used against her. Stella arranges a meeting with Dagbjört in a quiet location, realizing that she is involved in the whole affair. Dagbjört remains composed, but there is tension in her voice. She admits that Guo blackmailed her with photographs taken at the hotel when she was with Stella. Dagbjört then informs Stella that China is pushing for her extradition, and if she is sent there, a trial for Guo's murder will be nothing more than a formality. The only way to save her is the blue flash drive. If Stella gives it to Dagbjört, she can use the compromising material to stop the process. However, Stella explains that the files on the flash drive are still encrypted, and Gunna is in critical condition. For now, decryption is impossible. When Stella finally decrypts the blue flash drive, the full picture becomes clear. The compromising material Guo collected involves the highest-ranking officials, including Prime Minister Sverrir and other politicians. She goes to Dagbjört's home. Dagbjört looks surprised by her arrival but lets her in. Without a word, Stella plays the video, letting Dagbjört see everything for herself. Dagbjört remains outwardly calm, but Stella can tell that she already knew everything. The tension between them builds into something else. They find themselves too close, and in the next moment, they give in to their desires. Later, when Dagbjört goes to shower, Stella notices a photograph on the table. It shows Dagbjört and Sarah, the wife of the Chinese ambassador. A new truth is revealed. They had been best friends since childhood. Dagbjört had known everything from the very beginning and had helped Sarah cover her tracks. The next morning, Stella goes to find Sarah only to discover that she is gone. The Chinese authorities have taken her and her family to eliminate them. A car pulls up on the street. The door opens and Stella gets inside. Dagbjört tries to justify her actions. She is convinced that she was acting in the best interests of the country, believing that the stakes were too high and that sacrifices had to be made. Stella realizes that Dagbjört had used her. Without a word, she reaches for the door handle, ready to leave. Before she can go, Dagbjört makes one last attempt to stop her, saying that she chose her. Stella pauses for a brief moment, but then steps out of the car, leaving Dagbjört behind. Later, the news reports show Dagbjört. She is now the Prime Minister. She confidently announces that negotiations with China will resume, but on new terms. For everyone, this appears to be a political victory. For Stella, it feels like a personal defeat. Soon after, she receives a call from Hakor, a prisoner she once put behind bars. He claims to have compromising material on Dagbjört and offers her a deal.